Welcome to Understanding How to Motivate to Improve Performance. This is an ILM unit which is brought to you by Professional Futures Limited. Hello and welcome back to your course on Understanding How to Motivate to Improve Performance. My name is Lindsay Heats and I am your tutor for this course. This is video number 2 and in this video we'll be looking at what motivation is. Before we start though, let's have a quick review of what we achieved in the last session. In video 1, we looked at the content of this course and how you can study this formally to achieve an ILM qualification or informally for your own development. In this session though, we will focus on what motivation is and why it's so important. Let's look at our learning objectives for this session. So your learning objectives are that by the end of this session you will be able to define the term motivation, explain why motivation is so important in the workplace, and describe factors that may affect motivation levels in the workplace. So the first thing I want you to do is to have a think about motivation and create your own definition on what you believe motivation is. So, if you're on the accredited route, turn to page 4 in your workbook and complete the activity there. And if you're on the non-accredited route, take a few minutes and note down your own understanding of what you believe motivation to be. So, pause me, and when you're ready, click play and we'll carry on with the lesson. Okay. So you should now have your own definition of motivation. So let's see how it compares to these textbook definitions. So, a motive is a factor that determines the direction of an individual's behaviour. Motivation provides an incentive to produce a certain action. It can be conscious or subconscious. Motivation is the process by which the behaviour of an individual is influenced towards a desired outcome. So I suspect you'll have come up with something similar in that it links to behaviours and actions. Continuing on with your definition of motivation, so your definition may have looked a little bit more informal. So for example, motivation means getting someone to do what you want them to do. It's what makes us want to do something. It's a kind of driving force which comes from within, and it's required when we want to achieve something. Motivation is an incentive to make us try to do something. So how do your definitions compare to these more informal statements of what motivation is? Okay, we're at a thinking point now where I'd like you to consider these questions and make a note of your thoughts. So, why is it so important to motivate our team? And are we motivated by the same things? So, pause me now, and when you've made a note of your thoughts, come back to me and we'll carry on. You should now have your own thoughts as to why it's so important to motivate our teams. So why is it so important to motivate our teams? Well, if there was no motivation, nothing would get done. There would be no impetus to achieve objectives. And if organisational objectives aren't achieved, then the organisation is unlikely to achieve its overall goals. Having motivated staff will lead to a more successful organisation. So we're at an activity point now, so over to you. I want you to now take 10 minutes and consider what the key drivers of motivation are, okay? So have a look at your work team and select someone who you believe to be highly motivated, and that might even be yourself. Now identify what you believe drives them and make a note of your thoughts. So if you have a workbook, turn to page 6 and complete this exercise there. Everyone else, just make a note of your observations, and when you're ready, come back to me and we shall continue. In the last exercise, you established some key drivers of motivation, either in yourself or an individual within your team. So did you identify that the key drivers are essentially how hard someone tries, so they don't give up at their first difficult obstacle, that they are really focused on achieving a goal or objective that is beneficial to themselves and the organisation, and that they are persistent, they have stamina, they will keep trying where others may well give up? Have a think about whether these drivers are exhibited within your team. So there's another exercise now for you, so over to you. I want you to consider what factors affect motivation levels within your workplace. And that may well be recognition for a job well done, it could be management style, and so forth. So workbook users, turn to page 6 in your book and complete the activity there. Everyone else, take 10 minutes or so to look at your workplace and make a list of the factors that affect motivation there. Ensure you consider both positive and negative factors. And when you're ready, click play and we'll carry on with this session. You should now have compiled a list of factors that affect motivation levels within your own workplace. So compare that list now to the following points and consider how you could incorporate some of these positive factors within your practice as a manager and a leader. So clearly defined expectations and goals. So these might well be KPIs or objective setting appraisals. Recognition of achievements with rewards. So that could be a staff award ceremony at the end of the year, or even mini awards within your own department, within your own team meetings. Keeping staff informed of decisions and changes, so regular communication in meetings and in emails and so forth. Involving staff in decision making, again team meetings that involve staff and ask for their opinions, their thoughts on key decisions that need to be made. Providing a sense of ownership in the organisation's mission, so linking individual objectives to the organisation's objectives so they can see there's a reason why they do the things that they do. Understanding the needs and goals of your employees, so that's as simple as getting to know your staff and finding out what it is that they want to achieve. And supporting and encouraging employees to develop both personally and professionally, so providing them with opportunities to progress, training, additional learning, secondment to different departments, delegating to them so that they can actually develop additional skills. And here are some more positive factors. Again, consider how these points compare to your list. And consider, are these factors incorporated within your own practices? So establishing and maintaining an open cooperative climate within your organisation or your team. So that is down to you as leaders and managers in terms of your management style and how you behave day to day and within team meetings. Setting realistic targets with your staff, so again team targets that are challenging but achievable. Challenging your employees as a whole, so giving them tasks that stretch them so that they feel that there's a sense of achievement once they've got there. Establishing an employee welfare policy, so look after them, provide functions like counselling or healthy eating initiatives, or get your team fit, anything that shows that you're trying to look after them. Allow groups to work on projects together. This encourages motivation, so collaborating with other peers within the organisation. Use continuous positive reinforcement, so recognise jobs well done and applaud them when they've achieved something outside of the ordinary. And don't depend on money or punishment as an effective motivator, as these are not the most effective motivators at all, as you'll soon find out as you continue with your study of this unit. So from the last exercise, you may well have identified some negative factors that can demotivate your team. So were they similar to these points listed? So a lack of consultation or involvement in decisions that affect them, poor pay and working conditions, a dictatorial leadership style, and poor personal relationships. Here are some more negative factors for you to consider. So unachievable targets or standards, a lack of general communication, the feeling that your staff are undervalued, the fact that there's no promotional prospects or the promotional prospects aren't communicated very well, and also a feeling that they're being treated unfairly. So consider now if you've identified any of these aspects within your own workplace and what you could do to minimise or eliminate these factors. So in the last slide, I asked you to consider how you could minimise or eliminate the factors within your workplace that motivate your team. And this is because the effects of a demotivated team on your department and organisation are substantial. So these are absenteeism. So this causes an added stress on your team having to cover the individuals that are off. And it can prove to be costly in terms of paying overtime. High staff turnover, so it's costly to replace staff and it's incredibly time consuming. Poor quality in terms of the service and the product that's being produced. This generates inefficiency as a whole across your department or organisation. High wastage or reject rates, and that's as a result of lack of care from the staff because they're demotivated. Poor customer service, which again links to poor quality, a lack of care, they're not bothered about providing good customer service. So happy staff usually provide excellent customer service. A reluctance to learn or improve. So in other words, they just can't be bothered. Okay. Reduced productivity, so less motivated staff will deliver less. Low morale, so demotivated staff are likely to be unhappy. Again, that links to negative stress. So we've got positive stress, which makes you work and perform better, but negative stress, which can make you poorly, make you ill. Increased training costs, and that's due to retraining of staff or training new starters constantly. Increased administration, and that's usually in terms of dealing with underperformance, so with the procedures that have to be followed in order to deal with underperformance in staff. Conflict, there tends to be an increased level of conflict due to there being a high volume of unhappy staff as well. So have a think now whether you're seeing any of these elements within your own workplace, and if so, then this is a clear indication that your teams are feeling demotivated. So it's clear that without an understanding on what factors may motivate our team, we will unlikely meet our organisational goals and objectives, and that well-motivated staff lead to success, and the impact of demotivated teams could be catastrophic for an organisation in a number of ways. So we've come to the end of this session, so let's recap on the learning objectives that we've achieved. So you can now define the term motivation. You can now explain why motivation is so important in the workplace, and you can now describe the factors that may affect motivation levels in the workplace. In our next session, which is video 3, we will be focusing on Hertzberg's theory of motivation. And before I go, I just want to apologise for the sound quality, as it's absolutely bucketing it down here. So you can hear the rain hitting my office. So hopefully the next time I see you, the weather will be a lot nicer, and the sound quality will be a lot better in the fact that you won't be hearing the rain pitter-pattering on my roof. Okay, so I look forward to working with you in the next session, and until then, bye bye. Visit our website to access the full course on understanding how to motivate to improve performance, where you'll also find a really useful assignment guide that will help you get through writing your assignments. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you never miss our latest lessons, and obviously enjoy your next video.